Well, good morning and welcome to the Grow Omaha Show. Jeff Beals here at your service. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center along with Cheer Athletics. And we are the only show in the metro area that talks about business expansion, real estate, construction, new restaurants, new retail, and a lot of other things. And without any further ado, it's time to bring on my co-host, a legendary real estate deal maker, Trenton Magid.
You are too kind, as always, Mr. Beals. Good morning, everybody.
Well, good morning.
I just want everybody to know that as long as Jeff's head doesn't spin around and something else happens, I'll be okay, safe in the studio. His voice is just a little hoarse today because you have been on the road doing what you do best, right?
Well, you know, a lot of listeners know I do have a sales training business that takes me all over the world. And January is always a busy month. And last week I was up in Canada doing a program. And then over the last few days, just got back last night, I was in Miami doing a conference down there. And so on one of those trips, I picked up a little something, and it hit me in the middle of the night Tuesday, and I said, will this be done by Grow Omaha? No, it's not.
I thought you fly private.
Yeah, I thought that. I thought so too. And you're right. United and American are not owned by the government.
Oh, yeah. Good
so
point.
That's flying private, although they're publicly traded companies. Well, Trenton, we're going to get into our news of the week. And who brings that news of the week to us?
I'm glad you asked. Eagle Mortgage, Holly Schneiderwind and her team at 112th and Davenport, they are 114th and Davenport. They've been doing it for well over 30 years. They are a mortgage broker, which means they're not beholden to one bank or a certain group to finance your home, your refinance, your new home. They do an amazing job, and just give Holly a call or check her out online at eaglemortgagecompany.com, and they will take care of you.
eaglemortgagecompany.com. Well, first up on the news today, we're going to talk about Eppley Airfield, which set an annual record for passenger traffic in 2024 with 5,277,326 travelers flying through the airport. That, according to the Airport Authority, that breaks the previous record of just a little over 5 million. That was set back in 2018. The new milestone is a 5% increase over the previous year, which was 2023. Trent, I'd say this is very encouraging.
Now you know why we're getting $1 billion worth of expansion and getting our airport totally redone.
Well, and, you know, that construction has been going on all year in one way or another. I mean, the terminal expansion project only started partway through the year, but that front drive and canopy project has been underway since last year or since 2023. And these numbers are really high, despite the fact that people have to go through roadblocks and barriers and construction entrances to get into the building.
Well, and kudos to the Airport Authority, and they've been on our show. They have done a wonderful job, and even I can figure out how to pick somebody up or drop somebody off. It's pretty smooth. You just got to pay attention to those signs, and it'll only get easier, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, and then if you haven't been to the airport lately, next time you're there, look through some of the windows. It's kind of hard to see the construction from a lot of points of view because so much of the old or current airport building has been kind of sealed off because of construction. But there are a few places in both the south terminal and the north terminal where you can see what's going on. And there are all sorts of steel beams going up. And, you know, this airport, when it opens, and it won't be fully done until 2028, but we'll be using part of the new terminal as early as next year. This thing is going to be about double the square footage.
Yeah, and what's interesting, if you go to anything, well, on the south side where let's see who's over there,
American and
Delta, that Cracky McGee's or whatever is like, now there's like a temporary convenience store, food, restaurant type places. Not too fancy, but it does the job.
I feel bad for whoever owned Cracky McGee's because there has been so much blowback and celebration with Cracky McGee's closing for good, and because they're going to be replaced with more brand.
I never saw it open when I traveled quite a bit.
Oh God, yeah, it was. No offense to Cracky McGee's in the South Terminal, which is gone now, but it was the only choice. And you're like, oh, other airports have sit-down restaurants, or they have a brand name you've heard of, and in Omaha we're stuck with Cracky McGee's.
Well, they're going to make up for it.
Yeah, great new tenants are on the docket for the new project. All right, we have an update for some projects at 132nd and Fort Street. A lot of Omaha listeners have been writing in and saying, what's going on there? What's going on there? Well, a couple things. Southeast corner, there's a gas station, but just to the east of that gas station, construction is wrapping up on Koala Wash, another car wash.
Yeah, we need those.
That's a locally owned.
It's a liquid business.
A new startup, and it will open first quarter this year, it appears. And then on the south side of that gas station, 4010 Courts. The number's 4010 Courts, a 12,000 square foot building that'll have 2 courts for basketball and volleyball. It'll be year-round training. Looks like it's part of Nebraska Basketball Academy, and it'll be for kindergarten through 12th graders. Looks like opening there should be pretty much any day now.
You know, speaking of car washes, Jeff, on West Maple, there's an IQ car wash, which is the development we did, the Thompson Mile West, but also Ray Anderson on 114th south of Dodge. That Anderson Amico has an IQ car wash. It's the technology behind it. It's touchless, and that's where I go a lot to get my car washed.
So IQ is not a company per se. It's a brand of equipment or technology.
Yeah, it's a franchisee or licensee rather on West Maple, and then Ray updated his tunnel wash at 114th south of Dodge, south of Davenport, that is too. And it's awesome.
Well, we do love Anderson Convenience Market on this show.
Absolutely.
They do a fantastic job. Another company we like is Hubble Realty Company. They are making progress on Sagebrook, a 264-unit multifamily project northwest of 96th and Giles in La Vista. It's a $55 million project. It will have apartments. It'll have rental townhomes, plus all the usual amenities that you would expect from a very nice suburban complex, even a dog park. Completion is planned for late 2025. Coming along pretty well.
At least we're getting a lot more apartments, all kinds of different types of apartments, subsidized, market rate, downtown, suburban. All indications are that we need more apartments and we also need more housing.
Well, and that's just it, because a lot of people will say, oh, we're building too many apartments, or we're sick of all these rental units, or whatever the case may be. But people build what supply and demand tells them to build. And we have a housing shortage here. We have a housing shortage of single-family houses, and believe it or not, we don't have enough apartments. Man. We're going to build what the people need, and if we need more apartments, developers are going to fill that void.
And people ask, well, why are we getting so many more housing units? Is population growing? And we've reported that it's usually just under 1% population growth, Jeff.
Yeah.
And
it was a little higher in the last year.
So people age out, they move out of their parents' basement. I feel sorry for those people in parents' basements, because some people get the real old bedrooms that they grew up with that are just in their parents' house. But when they move out, they may need a house or an apartment. Also, divorce is actually a good economic driver when it comes to housing and things like that. I'd rather have in-migration, people immigrating into Nebraska and Omaha.
Nebraska is not doing well with in-migration. Omaha is doing okay, but needs to do better. But the state of Nebraska, we have a negative when it comes to domestic net migration every year, and we need to change that.
So we're taking people off the farms in smaller cities?
Yeah, so basically what happens is the people come from the farms in the small towns. They work their way up to Lincoln, then they work their way up to Omaha, and then some of them leave. And so it's like Omaha is almost kind of like a portal to pull rural people out of the state. But thank God a lot of them stay in Omaha. We need a bigger percentage to stay in Omaha.
When it comes to employment professionals, I like the theory, and I think it's more than a theory. And the headhunters say when it's really hard to get top talent to move into Omaha, but it's even harder to get them to move out, which says a lot.
Yeah, and that's a good thing, that second part. All right, that's your news of the week brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. Going to take our first break of the hour, and when we come back, we're going to bring on Nancy Sohns. She is the co-owner of S&N Landscaping, one of our Grow Omaha sponsors, and they do an outstanding job with commercial and residential landscaping. We're going to hear a little bit about that business and that industry, so stay with us. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to Grow Omaha, the area's only show devoted to the growth and development of your favorite city. I'm Jeff Beals, sitting next to Trenton Magid. We are brought to you by Cheer Athletics, along with Dingman's Collision Center. And I tell you what, Trenton, you've got a lot of history at Dingman's Collision Center.
Yeah, I go back about 25 years. Actually, I had a long conversation with Papa Dingman, Boyd Dingman, who's the original OG over there, and that is their last name. Fabulous work that they do, but just as important, they're just an ethical, great family, and they protect you from the insurance companies. They use the right parts, and I've used them quite a bit, actually. And they have 4 locations all around the metro. There's a 5th coming up probably later this year, very southwest. I don't know if I'm supposed to announce that yet or not, so I'll wait to get Andy's clearance. But Dingman's also has a mechanical shop on 120th and West Maple Road. They you just check them out, and then free estimates, and we highly recommend, whether it's just a scratch or a serious accident. I had one car that they just said was totaled.
Well, that one was not your fault, though.
That one was.
Oh, okay, but that
the
other
one before that
other one that was really severe was not your fault.
Same vehicle, so I had to move up in automobiles, but they did a great job. So highly recommend Dingman's, and they will take care of you.
Well, we periodically like to feature some of our sponsors, businesses, and it allows us to learn a little bit about them, and then it also gives us a chance to learn a little bit about their industry. And we're very happy today to have Nancy Sohns with us. She's the co-owner of S&N Landscape Design. They are one of our sponsors on growomaha.com. Omaha company. They do commercial and residential landscaping, along with some other related services. And first of all, Nancy, I'd like to say welcome to the show and thank you for your sponsorship of Grow Omaha.
Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate the opportunity and the opportunity to be on your website.
Well, Nancy, give us a little bit of an overview of what your landscaping company is all about. Maybe take us back to some of the history. How'd you get started?
Honestly, I was working with my female business partner, Sarah Perry, at Heritage Nursery. We worked there for 8 years. We saw, while we were working there, a gap in the communication between landscape contractor and consumer. So we thought, watching all these guys do landscaping, like, why can't we do this? So we decided to venture out on our own and take a stab at it ourselves. And we found that we really enjoyed connecting with clients, building relationships, building trust, and working with the same people year after year.
It's a really, I've used landscapers, and let's face it, people have they take their landscapers very seriously, and you're not only doing residential, you're also doing commercial, and isn't there can you talk about your big account that you just landed?
Yes, I can. We have been the sole landscape installer for Heartwood Preserve since 2019 was when we started. We have planted the threshold along Dodge Street, the park, all of the greenways. We're currently working on the campus and greenways C and D and the estate lots right now.
So what is that, 500 to 800 acres, or how big is that?
500 acres.
Yeah, it's a huge development.
Did you do all those stone walls?
Mecco Henny Construction.
Yeah, that's more
did
of
those.
That's more of a construction. But this is installation, and this is maintenance, hopefully for years to come. And this is the area, everyone, 144th from Dodge Street, and then past Pacific Street, and then the Applied Underwriters big building with 1,100 parking stalls underground. That whole area, that's crazy. Do you have multiple crews on that, or how do you keep something that big going?
I have a maintenance crew there 24/7 in the season. And then we bring in additional crews as needed during planting times.
So, Nancy, I was going to say, what's the difference between commercial and residential? And your answer would probably be like, well, residential is houses. Okay, so beyond that, how do you approach them differently? How do you market to those companies differently? Do you have crews that only do commercial versus residential?
My crews can do both. They are very well versed in either side of the business, commercial or residential. I definitely have guys that are more on the hardscape side of the business. So they would be like patios, walls, water features, fire features, lighting. And then I have other crews that are better at like maintenance, planting, renovation, landscape renovation. We do a lot of that on the residential side. As far as marketing towards residential versus commercial is a lot of word of mouth from people we know or people we've worked with. Commercial or residential is the same, but that's more like women, wives talking to each other, going out, who did your landscaping? I would like to get their number or work with them as well. Or it's people reaching out to us because they've seen our guys on the job working and see the work ethic that they have and how dedicated they are to the projects.
What's the website? We'll repeat it later, but SNN Landscaping, what is the website and how can people get a hold of you?
snlandscapedesign.com. We are also on Facebook and Instagram.
And how big of a service area?
Omaha, Council Bluffs, Bennington, Elkhorn, Waterloo, Valley, Gretna.
Talk with Nancy Sohns, co-owner of SNN Landscape Design. And, Nancy, we keep hearing from businesses like yours, your industry, that, gosh, it's so hard to find labor these days. It's so hard to find good workers. How is that going for you? And what do you guys do to make sure that you constantly have good quality people that can serve your clients?
We've been extremely blessed. I have a foreman who is an older gentleman who I've known my entire time in the business. He came on with us in 2016 and brought both of his sons, his cousin, and a couple of other guys with him that we've had the entire time. He does all of my hiring and firing. He lets us know when he feels the pressure to need additional guys or to let guys go, which is amazing. I really count on him to handle these types of things, as this is a struggle on the women's side of the business in the landscaping industry.
So along the same lines, after the pandemic, everyone was getting their backyard redone and all that. And at that time, there were material shortages. You couldn't find the stuff you needed to do landscaping projects. Well, now a few years have gone by. How are we there? Are things still in short supply for projects, or can you get what you need?
We're not having any trouble getting what we need. Our issue is price, as everybody knows.
They never come down.
And people are definitely not used to it. They want the prices of 2019.
Me too.
we can't have those. When it comes, you mentioned that the dynamic between female-run businesses and male-run businesses, and your foreman's a male, and it shouldn't make any difference. But in business, obviously, you don't see a lot of female-owned landscaping companies. Can you shed some light on that, or any fun stories about that?
I think one of the best things about being a female-owned business and having minority-ran crews is we're able to nurture those relationships as a mother would, even though some of these guys are older than us, younger than us, whatever the case may be. We celebrate birthdays on both sides. They celebrate ours, we celebrate theirs. We're really good about having special occasions and celebrating our crews. I think really I wouldn't have what I have or be able to do the things with my kids and my family and travel the way that I do without them. So I think that sometimes that's a big disconnect, and why companies have trouble keeping their labor staff is because they're not celebrating or treating them as equals like they should.
All right.
You treat it like a family, and that's important.
100%.
All right. Well, Nancy, we appreciate you joining us today. And like I said earlier, thanks for being part of our Grow Omaha community and being one of our key sponsors on growomaha.com. You have an outstanding company and you do outstanding work. And thanks for bringing us up to speed with the landscape industry in Omaha.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity.
That's Nancy Sohns, co-owner of S&N Landscape Design. Going to take our middle of the show break for the news. And when we come back, Trenton and I are going to talk a little bit about Good Life District talk. Goodness gracious, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Good Life Districts. So stay with us. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to Grow Omaha, the area's only show dedicated to commercial real estate construction. We talk about new restaurants and retail. We also like to talk a lot about economic development. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center along with Cheer Athletics. And I tell you what, Trenton, Cheer Athletics is the Cadillac of the all-star cheer world. And we've got one of the best cheer athletics locations in America right here in Omaha.
Absolutely. Cheer Athletics does a great job. And also, Noddle Development is a wonderful sponsor of our show. The Noddle Development Spotlight today. This is the company that is third generation. Harlan started it with Joe Kirschenbaum. Then Jay Noddle took it over and really expanded it. And now our friend Sam Noddle is in the thick of things with his brother Aaron. But you know him mainly for Exarban Village, places. Their predecessors actually worked on Commercial Federal Business Park, which became Bank of the West Business Park, which is now BMO or whatever. BMO, and First National Business Park. They did headquarters for HDR at Exarban Village. They did Valmont Industries out at Heartwood Preserve, and they are busy. And so they do stuff all over the country, a lot in Denver as well. But they are also getting into residential development when it comes to condos and other fascinating places with lots of amenities.
And every week at this time, we like to highlight activity happening in or around one of the Noddle Company's many Omaha area projects. And today we go downtown to the Builders District. The Builders District is that area kind of around Charles Schwab Field, Omaha, where the new Kiewit headquarters is. Noddle built it, and a lot of stuff going there. And the big news is that construction will start on a Builders District parking garage in February. And that's needed, Trenton, to keep the momentum going in that Builders District area of North Downtown.
Absolutely. And we're seeing more and more parking garages. We're seeing one come to Millwork Commons, and not just for the College World Series, but just to create a place, a sense of place 24/7. And hopefully we'll see more retail coming after all this.
And by the way, Jay Noddle, who you mentioned earlier, the head guy at Noddle Companies, he's also on Metropolitan Entertainment Convention Authority. And at the Mecca meeting in January, earlier this month, Jay said at that meeting that that Mecca has been hearing from hotel operators, not necessarily hotel brands, just the companies that operate hotels and team up with a brand, getting interest for a third convention hotel near or possibly even connected to CHI Health Center Omaha. So that's really exciting to think about.
It'd be interesting to see where it would go.
Yeah, my guess is, on Lot B, directly north of the Hilton.
And they could incorporate that with maybe a parking garage, some retail hub or something like that as well.
Yeah, probably something like that, but we'll definitely keep our eye on it. My guess is don't get too excited about it happening really fast, because that probably will take a while for that to happen. But it's good to know that there's conversations being held, and that's apparently getting closer. All right, should we talk about good life districts?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ay. Okay, so the good life districts are continuing to make headlines in the news, not always in the best way. It's been a little over a week since Gretna voters approved the establishment of this program in Gretna. Now, the Nebraska Department of Revenue has let us know that Rod Yates, the developer whose Good Life District application was the original one accepted under the terms of the so-called Good Life District Transformational Projects Act, now believes that his development cannot be completed as proposed. And so the DED, Department of Economic Development, has to collect evidence from the city of Gretna and other interested parties until February 12th to determine whether a Good Life District is still viable in Gretna without Nebraska Crossing and without Rod Yates. So, Trenton, there's more to say about this, but that process alone is going to be fascinating.
Well, what's interesting is a couple of years ago, and Rod Yates and his team at Nebraska Crossing really championed this legislation along with Senator Luann Lenahan, who was term limited, and she's out now. And what's interesting about it is, although Rod was approved as the first applicant of one of these districts, where the state said, okay, there can be 5 of these. There's a number of $5 million that Governor Pillen kind of set aside for whatever expenses. I don't know what that is to be used for, but they said there could be 5 of these in the state. There's one approved at 192nd and West Dodge Road, which has been very quiet. There's one that has not been quiet. It seems like they got their stuff together to build this indoor-outdoor swimming pool that the city of Bellevue is the declarant down in Bellevue. And then there's one in Grand Island that seems to be going down the road. And then there could be one other one. And so far it's been between Kearney and Papillion, which we haven't heard much about either one of those. That could be the 5th. But now we have everything from the governor saying, okay, this thing has gotten convoluted. It's off track. We thought that this was going to be developed a certain way, and these things were happening a certain way. Now the governor's saying, well, we got this shortfall. I might pull back this $5 million. We might scrap the whole thing.
Well, and then don't we have legal issues? Because have we as a state not made commitments to the developers in Grand Island and Bellevue? And, I mean, there hasn't been a lot of progress yet on the Omaha one, but there you go. The city of Omaha approved the Good Life District at 192nd and Dodge in a vote. It seems kind of a little too late to be pulling this away from people.
You would think so. Not only that, but there's been about $1 million in sales tax loss. So what this was created for, now keep in mind, it's for new projects, new construction, and tourism, and new to market type stuff. And the legislation that Rod championed initially was 2,000 acres. What some people don't know is that in Gretna, it's a 10-year thing, and within 10 years, they have to have 75% of new construction completed. For instance, in Gretna, it's $500 million. Omaha is $1 billion. I'm not sure what Grand Island is or what Bellevue is, but they've all stated what they think they can build there. And Rod Yates and his team decided that 2,000 acres wasn't big enough. So even though the legislation doesn't call for it, he now says that it should be 4,500 acres, and he's going to do a $3 to $5 billion deal. And then new legislation, I guess it was the deadline, like yesterday or something, for the unicameral to put things on the docket for this session. And so there's like 3 or 4 different.
It was actually Wednesday. Yeah,
legislative bills. Mm-hmm. And so now some people they're trying to change it and all that stuff. So everything seems to be up in the air. I think Mike Evans has done a good job in trying to. He's done a good job representing the city of La Vista. They did pass their issue, their vote, and their vote just says that they have this quasi-government agency that can now collect this 2.75%, which has been taken off people's bills at Nebraska Crossing, basically. This $1 million has literally evaporated. The state didn't get it, the city didn't get it, and the developers didn't get it. And so now at least they can start collecting that and figure out what they're going to do with it. So my sense is that Rationale will come back to the table and say, we need to make this work. And in Gretna, the biggest challenge, it seems like, is the applicant, Rod, pulled out, but people that own land there are pretty big-time developers, and they want to be able to develop their own property and benefit from this legislation.
And really fast, Rod Yates, the original applicant, pulling out, as Trenton said, from the Gretna Good Life District. At the time, he said he was going to try to get a different partner like the state of Nebraska as opposed to the city of Gretna. And it now appears that he's got a senator in the unicameral to carry that water. It is Senator Bo Ballard of Lincoln, who introduced Legislative Bill 637 called the Nebraska Destination Act, and it would basically allow someone like Rod, Nebraska Crossing, to do something kind of like a Good Life District, but not a Good Life District, and not work with the city of Gretna. Well, we got to take our final break of the hour. And when we come back, it's the Perkins Kreitzer Construction Lightning Round. I'm looking at the list, and there are a lot of things on it. So stay with us. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, along with Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to Grow Omaha. It is your Perkins Kreitzer Construction Lightning Round, in which we talk about a lot of things in a short period of time. Thanks to Perkins Kreitzer for making this possible. Dave Kreitzer runs things over there, good friend of ours. And Dave has assembled a team about whom or for which he can be very proud. He has superintendents and carpenters and laborers and project managers and all sorts of people who do fantastic work. They do projects at a great price. They do things quickly, and they do things with the utmost quality. With Perkins Kreitzer Construction, you could build your own built from the ground up building. You know, whether you're, let's say you're on a committee at your place of worship and you need a new church or something like that. Talk to Perkins Kreitzer. Let's say your business needs its own 20,000 square foot building. Talk to Perkins Kreitzer Construction. And of course, we love to, because they sponsor the Lightning Round, we love to highlight when they do restaurants and retail build-outs. You know, like they're working on that Barnes & Noble build-out at Shadow Lake Town Center right now. That's going to open up later this year. How cool is that? Barnes & Noble coming back.
Coming back
strong.
A lot of vinyl records, and next thing you're going to see is cassette tapes coming back.
Hey, I'd buy some. Actually, I probably wouldn't. But anyway, Perkins Kreitzer Construction, great sponsor, great construction firm. You can find them at p-cconstruction.com. Okay, cool. A little note about a restaurant here in Dundee neighborhood, same place where we are on KFAB. Ude Lali is expanding its hours to include lunch Thursday through Saturday. Ude Lali's first lunch took place earlier this week on Thursday. The nonprofit restaurant is located at 4916 Underwood Avenue in beautiful downtown Dundee. And just like KFAB, they're high above Underwood Avenue.
That's quality service and quality food. And they've got a couple of throwbacks to Mark's that was there before, which is a great restaurant as well. So Udalali, as Chris Corey, our food critic, he put him on one of his best lists.
Yeah, they made Chris Corey's top 5 in 2024 of all the places that he reviewed. And by the way, you can read all of Chris's reviews on growomaha.com. Simply click on reviews on the navigation bar. Gugu Ramen, a ramen and Korean fried chicken concept, will open soon at 9820 South 71st Plaza. It's in a corner bay of a strip mall next to Jersey Mike's in Papillion. That's just off 72nd and Cornhusker. It's adjacent to Golden Apple Buffet, which opened in June under the same ownership. And then we have the Posh Peacock. Got to be careful when you say that. Yeah. Posh Peacock, a locally owned consignment furniture store. It'll close its doors at 121st and West Center Road in Bel Air Plaza today, January 25th. The store, which opened in October of 2011, specializes in home furnishings and decor sourced from model homes, estate liquidations, and store closeouts.
That's kind of a good idea. I hadn't heard of it before, which doesn't mean anything.
You're the reason it's closing.
Yeah, they should advertise on the Grow Omaha show.
You know, a lot of times people say, why does Grow Omaha, which talks about growth, why do you guys talk about businesses closing? Well, we think that's important to know, too. For one reason, we want you to be informed about business news related to Omaha. Number two, stores opening and closing, like the circle of life, right? It's part of the business cycle. And the third thing is, while it is depressing sometimes for the owners and the employees and the valued customers of a business when it closes, it does open a spot for some new business.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's like we said, it's a circle of life.
And also lets people know what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, so we'll keep telling you. And by the way, because sometimes people all say, oh my gosh, it seems like so many places are closing. There always are a lot of places closing.
Yeah, there's a lot. If there's a hood for the grill, and there is a drain, a sewer trap for cooking, there will be an entrepreneur and a restaurateur that'll take the space.
Caddy's Brunch Bar, formerly known as Caddy's Kitchen and Cocktails, will reopen on February 3rd in its original location at 103 West Broadway. That's in the historic 100 block of Council Bluffs. Caddy's closed in October and is under the same ownership as the Salty Dog Bar and Grill, which operates in Council Bluffs, but also recently opened in Omaha location 72nd and Grover, right next to Wiener Schnitzel. Now, the way you get famous these days is being next to Wiener Schnitzel.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how busy they are now. You know, we went to the soft opening the day before they opened, and just like crumble cookies, everybody talks about it, like, oh my gosh, you can't get in there and everything. I bet you could get in there, especially if you kind of vary your hours.
Paradise Bakery and Cafe has officially opened at Nebraska Crossing in Gretna. It's located in an end cap bay near Ulta Beauty. The new location includes delivery options and a drive-through lane. Of course, Paradise relocated from Village Point Shopping Center. It was there for years, shut down there toward the end of 2024. Most Paradise bakeries have been converted into Panera restaurants around the country. The only remaining one, or the only remaining two, are the new one in Gretna and one in Dallas.
Wow.
That's a concept that is very rare now. All right.
Harder to find Paradise these days.
You paved Paradise and put in a parking lot?
Yeah.
Give me the scoop, a local Italian ice food truck. Give me the scoop, a local Italian ice food truck. I was like thinking ice truck. Well, that'd be kind of weird. So an Italian ice food truck will soon offer its products at Huskerland Popcorn at 2305 North 90th Street. And this is a dessert concept. Makes sense. They also have gluten and dairy-free flavors like mango, green apple, blue raspberry, and more. All right. Kauai Tea Time. Kauai Tea Time, formerly known just as Tea Time, recently rebranded its bubble tea shop near 145th and Maple into an Asian fusion restaurant. And this is a New York City-based concept specializing in authentic boba tea, sushi tacos, and poke bento bowls.
Wow, sounds good.
I'll go to that.
Yeah, are you into boba tea?
You know, I'll drink it. My daughter thinks it's the greatest thing on the face of the planet, but I'll drink it.
I look at them as floaters.
I like bento bowls better than bubble tea.
Yeah.
All right, finally, Shadow Lake Collision Center, a local auto body shop, will open a second location at the former H&H Kia site near 84th and F. And that's it for this week. We hope that everyone has a great week. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Magid.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, which was brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center with 4 metro area locations, Cheer Athletics, the nation's #1 all-star cheer gym, and Perkins Kreitzer Construction. We'll chat with you next week at 9 right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.